Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Well, hello, good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Anusabata Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. It's the beginning of another week. I am Alfred Ocansey. This evening here on Ghana Tonight, the new patriotic party flag-bearer hopefuls are also, as it were, meeting these former MMDCs, getting their support. But today, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, from the news that we got the express support of some 220 former MMDCs. Another group of the former MMDCs say they did not endorse that announcement by one of them. Stay with us. We've got a conversation for you. Newly trained teachers beat a retreat on their earlier declaration to pass the night at the Ministry of Education to press home their demands for over 10 months unpaid salaries. We'll bring you live visuals from the ministry and hear from them, whether they are still there as we speak. Stay with us. Also here on Ghana Tonight, Iran fires missiles at the U.S. Qatar base in the latest twist to the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict. Now we continue to look at the implications of this escalating conflict on Ghana's economy and also what the way forward should be in terms of the mitigation measures and the thinking going forward. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has reaffirmed Ghana's commitment to promoting and safeguarding human and children's rights. Speaking on Monday during a meeting with a delegation from the Interparliamentary Union and UNICEF, he outlined key legislative measures Parliament has taken to uphold human rights.
Parliament's commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights within the context of the UPR mechanism. Our role as a parliament in the promotion and protection of human rights is very, very crucial. We are one of the most effective instruments to use to implement human rights.
Some 220 former MMDCEs who served between 2017 and 2024 have pledged their support for former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to lead the party again. Addressing the media in Accra on Monday, the MMDCEs said they are convinced that the 2024 flag bearer is the best option. One of the attendees also denied the sessions that the same MMDCs who met supported Ken Ejapong recently. A group of aggrieved teachers from the 2022 batch of the Colleges of Education have vowed to remain at the premises of the Ghana Education Service until their grievances are addressed. The group on Monday staged a protest where they demanded payment of their salaries for the past 10 months. After hours of picketing, Deputy Director General at the GES, Professor Smile Gavua GC, addressed them.
Technical committee has been formed just to solve all these problems one after the other. So I want to indulge you to please put all these issues on paper, submit them to me, select 5 leaders, we'll sit down and solve the problem.
A economist Professor Peter Korte has sought to allay fears that the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran will significantly derail the government's efforts to bring inflation under control. Crude oil prices have spiked on the global market since the conflicts began, raising concerns about the potential knock-on effects on fuel prices at the pumps.
Energy or fuel accounts for some percentage. I mean, when we look at the inflation, its effect in inflation. So it might not be very high, and therefore we may see a continuous decline or marginal decline, or perhaps the rate might hover around the current rate. But I don't expect inflation to inch upwards. At worst, it will remain stable at the 18% range that we see.
Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate end to the war between Iran and Israel, urging both sides to return to diplomatic dialogue. Addressing an emergency Security Council meeting, he emphasized that peace in the Middle East cannot be imposed but must be embraced through mutual commitment and dialogue.
The bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. We must act immediately and decisively to halt the fighting and return to serious, sustained negotiations on the Iran nuclear program.
Or as more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live as well on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. As always, probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray, and Quell Tum Preco. Coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, a new patriotic party flag-bearer hopefuls, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Kennedy Ohinia Japan's crumble, essentially for the support of former Metropolitan Municipal District Chief Executives, MMDCs. That's what it appears to be right now, because they touting themselves of the right persons to lead the party as the party prepares to go to the polls to elect who would lead them into the 2028 presidential election as the party's flag bearer. They are seeking to do that on the 31st of January 2026. But already there's been a lot of activity. It's been exactly a week ago that this decision was made, and that particular communication also given by the National Executive Committee of the party. We've seen a number of moves by some flag bearer hopefuls. We've seen the video that was put out by Dr. Duchum, as well as the engagements that both Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has had with sitting members of parliament who called on him, put the number to over 60 of them. On that same day, there was a communication from Kennedy Japan's camp that he had a meeting with over 200 former MMDCs. Guess what? Today, some 220, that's the number that was communicated today, 220 former MMDCs who served between 2017 and 2024 are reported to have also pledged their support for the former vice president and the flag bearer of the MPP in the 2024 election, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to lead the party again. Now, this comes after some, as we reported last week, 268 former MMDCs met with Kennedy Japan last week, where he reaffirmed his decision to contest the flag bearership of the party. There was no address by these former MMDCs after that meeting with Kennedy Japan last week. But today, well, one person who describes himself as the leader of the former MMDCs who met Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia today addressed the press, indicating that they have officially declared their support for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. 220 of them. Take a look.
Honorable Dr. invited all MMDCs. I was there myself.
Did you throw your support behind him?
We did not throw support.
Nobody.
No. His assertion that over 250 came to endorse him is false. Today, listen, Chief, you have asked a question. Today, we are reading a statement on behalf of all of us. There was no statement read at Kennedy Japan's.
Nobody declared any support.
We spoke, we wined, we dined, and we left. Today, we are showing our support with a statement. Thank you.
Well, the video you just saw there was when these former MMDCs met Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia earlier today. Now, I'm going to show you another video. That video last week of that meeting between this same group of former MMDCs, a number of them, that number last week was put to 268, who met Kennedy Japan, a flag bearer hopeful of the MPP as well. Now, take a look at this. He fed them, and they confessed to it, that they ate sumptuous meals and, and they had a conversation. This is it. You see some of them exchanging pleasantries with him. There was a sitting member of parliament, at least we saw, that's Dr. Stephen Amwa, the Nshiaso member of parliament, and then also a former deputy finance minister. And then there's Kweku Kwati as well. You see, former Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwati was a former chair of the Finance Committee of Parliament. And a number of these former MMDCs, you see Kennedy Japan addressing them in this video last week. They had good food to eat. You saw it in the video. They've been, and rightly so, they know they have the numbers, they have the voting right. And if you're talking about 268 former MMDCs who, per the party's constitution, Article 13, Clause 11, they are part of the group who would vote to elect the flag bearer. That's why they are leveraging their influence and visiting all these people and, having a good time, as we're seeing in the video. And then we also showed you just a few minutes ago what happened today when they met Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. This is the man who spoke to the media, the one we just played to you, clarifying that, well, when they met Kennedy Japan, they did not declare support for him. They did not address any press conference as we saw today. This is the man, Ebenezer Doko. He's a former Adenta MCE. This is exactly what he said in the video, that Kennedy Japan invited them. He was there, but, quote, we did not throw our support behind him. His assertion that over 250 MMDCs came to endorse him is false. Let's put that on the screen right now. He continues to say that we are reading a statement today on behalf of all of us. No statement was read during the said meeting with Kennedy Japan. We spoke. We wined and we dined. Essentially, they ate and they drank. And then they left. Today, we are making it clear with an official statement, unquote. That's Ebenezer Doko, former Adenta MCE, explaining why, after meeting Kennedy Japan, they met Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia today, and they have made this official statement, as was being captured, that they have declared their support for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But what does all of this really look like from the political lenses? And this is where we're bringing Dr. Jonathan Asantiochi. He is the Senior Lecturer, Political Science Department. It's a political analyst at the University of Cape Coast. Thank you for joining us. I mean, it's a very interesting period to be a former DC, is it not, or MC. I mean, with what we just showed you, the meeting with Kennedy Japan, and what we've seen today with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. From your lenses and where you sit, how do you see them playing this, political game of leveraging their influence and their numbers as former MCs at the moment?
Well, I would say that these are a bunch of political prostitutes out there who do not really have principle, or they are not guided by any kind of principle. Because if the principle that they have put out there is anything to go by, you went to Dr. Brian Champon, you've gone to Mr. Kennedy Japan. In all of this, you did not declare. So, from the benefit of hindsight, having listened to the views of others from the same rank, I got the impression that some element within their fold might have stampeded the process, go ahead of themselves to do a kind of declaration. And having listened to both sides, and especially the side of Mr. Kennedy Japan, it appears to me that that declaration might have been a forced one. Or maybe they were influenced one way or the other. I don't know, but if you tell me that you went to Kennedy Japan's place, you drank, you ate, you wined and whatnot, but I did not declare, it surprises me that suddenly you want to declare, at Dr. Bawumia's place. And so if they are real principled, then they will have kept mute over this, keep their cards to their chest, and then probably wait a little longer for either a declaration or the period to go and cast their ballot. I don't want to think that the highest bidder is the one controlling affairs, because obviously, having visited Mr. Kennedy Japan and Dr. Brian Champon for that matter, they would definitely be giving some kind of honorarium as a kind gesture. So when it comes to internal politics, you have to understand that a lot of resources go into it because these are virtually the kingmakers. And so you may want to do right by them. But it surprises me that they took that particular decision because I think that it was an unprincipled decision and it was just born out of political prostitution.
Well, but why do you describe their decision to declare support today after meeting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? I mean, that public support for him as political prostitution and one lacking principle. I mean, they are former MCs. They have their individual rights, their conviction, and obviously they are politically experienced enough to know who they want to support, is it not?
Well, if that particular disposition is anything to go by, then it means that I've also heard of a certain group rebutting that particular decision to declare, and that declaration for any of the candidates was not on the table. So it means that element from their 220-fold decided to do that which the entirety of the group had not decided to. And so if that neutralizes it, fine. Rather than that, you see, you may have a right of a sort, but its appropriateness is equally important. You are dealing with an African, democracy in which leaders are quite vindictive. And if it happens that the other side should win the presidential candidature of the party, it is not that simple and easy to go back, to suggest that, it was internal politics and other things. Sometimes I think that politicians must be shrewd a little. This opportunism that usually follows some of these decisions, I think it makes them look cheap. To be frank with you, it makes them look cheap. I wouldn't let anybody know whom I'm going to cast my ballot for. That one, I wouldn't do it. You can decide to listen to the views I would have put out there, make your own judgment or conclusion. But for me to tip off my hand and let you know that this is the person I'm going to vote for, I wouldn't do that. It is still within my right to say ABC and it, but I wouldn't put out there that kind of open, declaration. I think that it makes them look cheap. It makes them look opportunistic, as it were. And it amounts to, for me, some kind of political prostitution, an unprincipled position for that matter. So here is the case. We have the other side of the same MMDC suggesting to us that the idea of declaration was not on the table. So who prompted who influenced who, or who influenced the other element, to go out there and put that declaration out there? So maybe in the fullness of time will tell. For now, I think that it's a little too early. It's a little too early for anybody to suggest that, well, for the optics, this person is doing A, B, C, and D, and everything is inherent to the benefit of that person. It's a little too early. I have been citing the late Sir John, that fear delegate is equally important. Dr. Bawumia himself should be more worried because when was going around for the 2024 elections, you had chiefs, right? You had opinion leaders vouching their support and unflinching support. What happened? So you just have to be a bit careful when it comes to some of these things, because within their fold, some will vote for him, others will vote for Ken. Probably others will also vote for Dr. Bernard Champon, including Dr. Edichum as well. So you just have to be very careful. Delegate will want to explore all the advantages that they have. Now, especially where the party is intending to conduct the elections from the top to the bottom, then it means that they may want to cash in. Because at the end of the day, the lower level elections would just be white elephant. Because if you do the bottom-up approach, presidential hopefuls will want to be interested in the process. So they'll be investing in some of these candidates. So at the branch level, they will have some number of people that they would have invested. At the constituency, they will do same. At the regional, they will do same. And at the national, they will do same, till they get to the final slot, which is the presidential candidature. So with that, they will be able to hedge and count the number of people that they might have influenced along the line and know very well that these people are likely to cast their ballot in their favor. But now, when you have done the top-bottom approach, the lower-level elections will no longer be competitive, will no longer be attractive, because whoever wins the presidential slot will be interested in ensuring that those who oppose them or those who oppose their views do not get elected along the line. And that is what I'm suggesting, that this top-bottom approach is going to create some kind of democratic tyranny. You are either with the leader or you are against the leader. And the leader and whoever emerges will ensure that they have their faithfuls along the line, from the lower level to the upper level.
But there are those also who hold a different view and favor this particular decision, that for as long as the flag bearer has not been elected, that's in the words of the likes of Nana Komia, any effort to unite the party will be an exercise in futility, because that contest of the flag bearership is a dividing exercise in itself. So get that out of the way, and then you have enough time to close your ranks before election 2028. But there's good reason why these MMDCs are being pursued, literally, by all of these persons who want to lead the party as flag bearer, because their numbers, they're key, their voting rights, and it's all about the numbers going into any election for that matter. And these former MMDCs, they know this, and so they're leveraging their influence. But you say it's political prostitution, but this is their time as well. They see it, and they know it, and so they would want to leverage that influence. What exactly is wrong with that?
Well, certainly. But it would have been better to hedge the three main contenders or the four main contenders, so that if it is a matter of making some kind of money, you would have gotten the money from all the candidates anyway. But you take that decision to go and vote whoever you want to vote for. But as it stands now, if it is resources, then you are likely to get from only one individual. So the other candidate will also be looking elsewhere to hedge or leverage, as it were.
And I do appreciate your time on this. Thank you so much. Just as a rolling stone that will gather a lot of dust in the coming days. So stay with us here on Ghana Tonight, and we're going to be getting a lot more into it here. And as always, when it comes to such matters, we remain your election command center. But coming up next, Iran fires missiles at the U.S. Qatar base in the latest twist to the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict. We continue to look at the implications on the economy and also from the Ghanaian community in Qatar. So stay with us. We're narrowing down the conversation from the global picture to how it impacts on us as a country. How exposed is the Ghanaian economy to what is happening externally out there, which we don't have control over? And one person is going to be joining us in a bit. Joe Jackson, last week when we spoke, he had indicated that he was praying the United States will not get involved in this war. It appears that prayer was not heard. And 2 days ago, we saw what happened. The situation is escalating by the minute. We understand that the UN Security Council is meeting as we speak in an emergency meeting as a result of what's happening right now. We'll show you some videos of that shortly. But Iran has launched the missiles at the US base, that's an air base in Qatar, in response to strikes on its nuclear site on Saturday, an act that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia does not take kindly. Now, these are some of the videos you see of the intercepted missiles that did not reach the target because there is that airspace, just where technology and mechanism that has been put in place by the United States and also Qatar itself to intercept any incoming missiles. And we'll show you videos of how it looked like in the skies in Qatar when these missiles were just flying in there and citizens were only just watching these missiles being intercepted as we speak. And just take a look at this. Well, after these missiles and those you see in the sky there are no stars. They are missiles being intercepted. That's how worrying the development is as we speak. The escalating nature of this conflict between Israel and Iran. Well, after what you just saw, there was a statement that was issued by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs there, and this is it. They indicate that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia expresses its condemnation and denunciation in the strongest terms possible the aggression launched by Iran against the brotherly state of Qatar, which constitutes a flagrant violation of international law and the principles of good neighborliness, and an entirely unacceptable act that cannot be justified under any circumstance. The Kingdom affirms its full solidarity with the unwavering support for the state of Qatar, and take note of these last words, and they place all its capabilities at Qatar's disposal in support of any measures, that is, any response or retaliatory measures Qatar will want to take. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia say, well, they are in full support of what Qatar will decide. But in the midst of all of this, we're keeping in mind how this is affecting, or it's going to affect us as an economy, and then also on the basis of what happened in Qatar, how Ghanaians living in Qatar are coping with all of this. And we'll narrow down the scope of the conversation to them there, because we know a lot of Ghanaians who go to Qatar to work in search of greener pasture. We see a number of these agencies advertising the Ghanaians who want to work in Qatar, get a lot of them there. Thankfully, we have Stephen Owura Kisi. Stephen Owura Kisi is a Ghanaian living in Qatar. Specifically, we're told a place called Argentina Town in Qatar. Is joining us right now on Zoom. Stephen, I do appreciate you joining us right now, and thank you so much for connecting with us here on Ghana Tonight in Ghana on TV3. Now, we have just watched what happened on television with the missiles flying in the sky, but you lived the reality of seeing these missiles. How did you live through that scary experience hours ago?
Yeah, good evening, Dennis, and good evening to the viewers. We're watching TV3 now. Yes, you heard the news, yes, and I can boldly confirm that it's true. Practically, we are all indoors. We've been asked to stay indoors. No one should go out until further notice. So we've been indoors from the time the time we saw the missiles going out till now. So we've been asked to stay indoors till further notice.
It's a sad experience. But Stephen, Dennis is my producer, by the way. This is Alfred talking to you, but just a quick correction. But I mean, you saw the missiles flying in the skies. What we just saw in the video, where you live, this Argentina town, you could see the missiles. And is it closer to the target location of this missile, which was said to be the base of the United States there?
Yes, I saw the missiles flying in the skies. I think it was 10 of it, but fortunately, the U.S. Army base here were able to get the information, so they actually revenged before it got to the U.S. Army base here in Qatar.
I see, but this presents another layer of challenge for you, the immigrants, especially for you Ghanaians as well, living in Qatar, is it not? With all the other challenges you have to deal with, and now this one. Tell me about it.
It has been very sad for us because we as immigrants, we are just praying that things goes on well here, because we've left our families behind. And if you are here and your family watches this kind of things, they will actually be sad and be praying for us. So I think you people out there should pray for the Ghanaians out here, because it is not all that easy, although, but we are just hoping that things will get better. Because looking at the number of missiles here and per information gathered, I think Iran has said that they will surely retaliate, because they are not yet done. So we are just hoping that whatever they are saying, they will actually put a stop to it. Otherwise, we will actually be in trouble here.
Wow. But give me an idea of the the population of Ghanaians living in this area where you are, which you say is not too far away from what was supposed to be the target location of these missiles that were intercepted, this Argentina town you talk about. How many Ghanaians live there as we speak?
I think it is an accommodation that entails, I think, a whole lot of countries. That is the Nepals, the Indians, the Pakistan, and others. So if I can recall, I think I can count out of maybe almost, well, will I say roughly 1,000 Ghanaians a year.
1,000 Ghanaians. That's enough a number. I mean, so you're on television right now. Has the embassy there, that the Ghanaian embassy there, reached out as yet? And since you're on TV now, if you want to make any appeal on behalf of the Ghanaians living there, what are you expecting in terms of interventions and also measures to be put in place to ensure you are safe by the Foreign Affairs Ministry here in Ghana? I want to hear you.
We've not yet heard anything from the embassy here, the Ghana embassy or ambassador here. We've not yet heard anything from them, but we are just hoping that by tomorrow. You see, it is 90 here. I think it's almost 11 p.m. here. So we are just hoping that at least we could hear anything from them. That is tomorrow morning. The only measures that we are asking or pleading from the government is that they should actually be of aid to we the Ghanaians here. Because it has not been easy. It has not been easy looking at this kind of things. We all came here for something to get something and bring back home. But if this kind of things actually happens, then it means we are actually in trouble. And maybe in the next few days or next few months, we don't know what will actually happen. We might or we may be asked to come back to our country. That is our mother country. So we are just hoping that things will get better here. They will actually settle and solve all issues. And we are also pleading to them that they should help us out here in case of, because if you have been asked to stay indoors, you can't go out to buy anything because all stores, all malls here will be closed till further notice. So at least if they can help us, they can come to our aid in support of any food items or anything else.
Well, I do appreciate you, Stephen. Thank you so much for talking to us. Stephen Owura Kisi there is a Ghanaian living in Qatar, specifically what they call the Argentina town. Thank you so much. And this appeal that you have made, hopefully we're going to follow it up as well to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, get some assurances, and then the communication to the embassy there as well to know what measures, immediate measures would be put in place to ensure Ghanaians living there are safe. Stephen, appreciate you for this. But from that point of Ghanaians living in Qatar being safe, the other layer of concern for us in looking at what is happening with this Israel-Iran conflict is the possible impact it would have on the economy. And we started this conversation sometime last week. This country, we even though we are blessed with crude oil, we don't refine the crude oil in this country because the refinery is not working. It's not been refining for the past almost 5 years now, right? And over the weekend, we got to hear from the acting managing director of the Tamari refinery, the combat that he, together with the management, giving assurances that by October, Tamari refinery will be back on stream to start refining, all things being equal. Hope that comes to pass. But as we speak, that's not happening. And so we have to import over $400 million of finished products, petrol, diesel, the petrol that you go to the pumps to buy, diesel, all of that, we have to import over $400 million. That's our bill at the end of every month. And then, as a result of what is happening, this will definitely impact on price of crude oil on the world market. But what we have seen tonight is that the beginning of today, the crude oil prices crossed $80 a barrel. But as of this evening, when we check the Bloomberg terminal, it has gone down to just about $70. Some are quoting $69. But this is what the Bloomberg terminal is quoting today for Brent crude. Now, there are some dynamics as to how things are playing out right now. because of that action by Iran on Qatar, it appears that has also then shifted the sentiment of the market to favor a downward spiral of the crude oil prices on the world market. As to how things will be in the coming days, we don't have control over it because this is an external situation. But what should be the mitigation measures going forward? Because we are in an economy where when the prices of petroleum products goes up at the pumps, it affects almost everything on the market. That's the nature and structure of the economy that we're running. Until things change, until the structure changes, until the basis changes, we're going to have to keep an eye on how things are playing out on the global front. And this is where Joe Jackson is a financial analyst joining me right now. Mr. Jackson, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Last week when we spoke, you were praying that the U.S. will not get involved in this conflict. Unfortunately, it appears your prayer was not heard with what happened 2 days ago with the U.S. strike on that nuclear site in Iran. And then what we have seen play out in the last 48 hours. Troubling, is it not?
To be honest with you, to call it troubling is an understatement. This is mayhem. And it brings to life our worst nightmares. The price of oil is going to go through a spike. And that spike will result in increased fuel prices in the medium term. That can't be good for our economy. And if these prices are sustained and this particular phase of the war where the US has entered continues, listen, we could have prices in excess of 18 cedis a liter. Do you know what that would do for our transportation costs? What it will do for food prices? What it will do to electricity costs? Because remember that in our current electricity mix, we're using a lot, we're generating electricity by burning fossil fuel. No, this is not good. When we spoke last week, a week ago, when we spoke, I expressed my worry that if the US entered this war, the consequences for the ordinary Ghanaian, the consequences for our economy, be dire. And then soon after that, President Trump then says, "Oh, I'll take 2 weeks to give diplomacy a chance." And I was applauding. Only to hear in the news that the US has entered. And then this evening, the retaliatory strikes have started. That's not good. That's not good. We just continue to pray that seeing here to prevail. We just continue to pray that everybody will realize that this can't be good for anybody in the economy. We just continue to pray that this will be resolved in the short term, so that in the medium term, we'll be back on track with the good news and the alignment of stars in favor of Ghana. It's a tough time. Everywhere we turn, there could be trouble. The cedi, we could lose traction when we are trending in the right direction. The only place where we could get some relief be gold. Because the more the turmoil, the more people will rush into gold, and the better it may be for Ghana. But that will only be a small relief in the light of the spike in oil prices.
I see, but it's instructive that you put the analysis of how this would impact on the economy in the medium term, because we heard from the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, as Godwin Ejitamaklo, over the weekend, that there's some measures have been put in place. At least we have some 2 months of fuel reserve here that we can rely on for as long as this conflict continues. But we're not sure whether it's going to end before 2 months. And so the thinking is after 2 months of these reserves, then what happens next? I mean, Mr. Jackson, listening to or hearing him this morning when he spoke to us, we're going to play that back. And that assurance that we got, that we have some reserves of fuel in place. It's refreshing, but let's take a listen to him, and I'll come back to you as to what the thinking should be after these 2 months. Take a look.
We are confident that with the stock we have currently, we'll be able to mitigate the impact of what people are expecting to be higher prices at the pump. You see, there are two key components: the FOB pricing and the exchange rate. Thankfully, there has been relative stability and firmness from policymakers in keeping the stability of the cedi in check. With that expectation, I'm confident that the expectation that prices will go up will not get there. What I see is that we'll never get to the like January 2025, December 2024 prices of petroleum product. We won't get there.
On what we have, the stock we have available, that's coming under some question. I don't know what the numbers are. What's the assurance in the confidence that could?
We currently have in excess of 200 million liters, 200 million liters, almost 240 million liters of diesel, over 150 million liters of petrol. So together, over 400 million liters of those white products in the country. But the question is, have our ports been shut to fuel coming in? Definitely not. We are putting in place all the mechanism to ensure continuous, flow of products into the country.
Well, that's some glimmer of hope. Mr. Jackson, is it not?
There was always going to be some. Listen, our oil prices and etc. We're buying in 3-month cycles, so there was always going to be some leeway in terms of us buying at the old price. But if this war continues, then the trouble will start. Then we'll start feeling more and more of the pressure. So really, we've got to pray that this is resolved in as soon a time as possible.
Well, we'll see how the coming days will go on this. Thank you so much. Joe Jackson is a financial analyst, CEO of Dalex Finance. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back shortly after this quick break. We'll tell you what is happening with these teachers who have not been paid. That's newly trained teachers who we understand are beating the retreat on their earlier declaration to pass the night at the Ministry of Education. Stay with us. We'll give you the latest on this one. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, a group of aggrieved teachers from the 2022 batch of the Colleges of Education had earlier vowed to remain at the premises of the Ghana Education Service until their grievances are addressed. But they seem to have backtracked on that particular position because our checks showed dead silence and lonely area at the Ministry of Education. Take a look. Today, Monday staged a protest where the group staged a protest earlier today where they demanded payment of their salaries for the past 10 months. Despite hours of picketing, their concerns remain unresolved. Now, let's hear exactly what their concerns were earlier today. But what you're seeing on the screen right now is the evening scene of the premises of the Ghana Education Service, where these teachers had vowed that they were going to spend the night. But we visited that place just about an hour ago, but we didn't find them. But earlier today, these were the demands that they made and the reason why they had resolved they were not going to leave the premises earlier today. Take a look.
We need our staff IDs. And it is now. We need our staff IDs, and then those who have been validated without their money should get it with immediate effect. That is all that we aim for, because we know that the staff ID is the basis for which you get your money. And without the staff ID, nothing qualifies you to get your money. And so we, those of us without the staff ID, we need our staff IDs today.
Well, there was another affected teacher we spoke to who also had this to say. Take a look. Let's go on to the telephone right now. Simon Kofi is one of in fact, the convener of these teachers who have been affected by the situation. Simon, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, sir.
Now, you had earlier indicated you were going to spend the night at the premises of the Ghana Education Service. We went there today, and none of you were seen there. Where are you as we speak?
All right, so thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners once again. So earlier on, we had planned to spend the night there, as you rightly said, but then just around 7:38 p.m. thereabout, we made some few calls, and then upon some advice, we had to, keep the premises. But as we speak, we are not out of Accra. We are still hanging around Accra and somewhere around the Tema station, and then hoping that they will wait for us to get back to the GDS premises tomorrow.
So you are all at Tema station?
Yes.
Where exactly at Tema station are you sleeping? That's a lorry station. So where are you sleeping?
Yes. So like I said, upon some calls that we made, and then security-wise, we decided to take that move. And we secured some places, especially for our females, to lodge over there. So that's the little I can say about that.
Right. So we earlier saw videos of the SWAT team of the Ghana Police Service asking that you leave the premises because you, according to the gentleman we're seeing on the screen, you had not obeyed certain instructions they gave to you. What exactly happened?
And so it wasn't like they gave us some instruction and we refused or we disobeyed. I think when they arrived, they called for the leadership of the group, but then we made them understand that this is, let me say, a coalition of affected staff from different parts of the country who just, met today. And so we don't have any substantive leadership. It's just that some of us are volunteers to champion the cause. And so at the moment, we do not have substantive leadership. And that is what, I don't know, triggered them to say that for the fact that we do not have some leadership days, then they gave us a maximum of 3 minutes to vacate the premises.
I see. Well, I thank you, Simon. Thank you very much for this. And tomorrow we will be there as well to update our viewers on what's going to be happening, because they will continue the picketing tomorrow from what we're hearing. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. It's the beginning of the week, so join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior